All right, so we are basically going to be looking at another important Excel function, which is on the Hlookup. So what does this Hlookup do? Okay, is a we can say as the name implies, we have we call it a function, and we have different functions in you know in Excel. We've already seen previous ones, but this particular ones, what it does is that it finds and retrieves a value from data in a horizontal table, and the H in Hlookup stands for horizontal. All right. Later on, we are going to be looking at what is called the VLOOKUP, where the V stands for the vertical. So, and these lookup values must appear in the first row of the table. So please take note of this. The lookup values must appear in the first row of the table that's moving horizontally from left to right. All right. Now this is the syntax. All right. In programming languages, we call them syntax. And so this is the syntax of the Hlookup. And these are the different arguments that we have here. And one of them is the lookup value. We have the table array, we have the row index, and then we have the range lookup. Now, what are all these things? Right, it will be best explained when we go into practice to see this. So the first one is the lookup value. This is referred to the value which you are going to be looking at or looking up to. Then, and as you said, that the lookup value should always be at the first row. If you look at this, it says the lookup values must appear in the first row of the table which you are going to be working with. So the lookup value must be at the first row. Then the table array is a table from which we want to retrieve this data. That means you are going to be selecting a table. Now we also have what is called the row index. Now the row number from which to retrieve the data, right? Because this is what we are looking at. We're looking at the lookup value, and then we want to retrieve data. Okay. After we must have looked up the value. So don't worry about this. You may not really understand what I'm saying, but when we go into our data set to practice this, you get to understand. Now we also have what is called the range lookup. This is optional actually, but is a boolean to indicate either exact match or approximate match. So by default, it's usually set to true, which is approximate match. But most of the times you are going to be working with data, we are going to be declaring it to false. We just need only the exact match, not approximate match. Right, so let's quickly get into Microsoft Excel to start practicing some data here. Now, right here we have a data set. Okay, we have a data set here. Let me zoom this in. So we have this data set containing what is called the order ID. So these are the different order IDs of a product. Let's say, for example, maybe a typical e-commerce platform. Each of the products have their unique order ID for a particular order. Let's say customer comes to a platform to place an order. So an order ID is generated for a particular product, and these are the unit prices for each of these products. And then these are the quantities for maybe the customer purchase. Let's say we are asked to use the Hlookup to find the order using this order ID here, for example 10250. All right, using this you should find the unit price for this particular order ID. Now for us to achieve that, okay, just quickly type here. We have the formula or the function usually starts with equal sign. So let's put it here by the side, equal sign, and then we type Hlookup. Let's double click on here. Then the first value, as you also said, that the first value should be the lookup value. So what are we looking at? We're looking at the product ID. Remember that we said that the lookup value must be at the first row. So if you are to find a value, please always move your items to the first row, because we are looking at the Hlookup, and it's always moving from here to here, from left here to right. Okay. So what is the lookup value? We are looking at 10250, and then the table array, you have to now select the whole table we are looking at. All right, then what is the row number? So we are looking at finding the price for particular order ID, and To find the row index, as I said, Excel starts with 1. Other programming may start with 0, such as Python. All right. So what is the index of the first one? This is 1, 2. So we are looking at the unit price. This is index 2. So write 2 here, and then we have the approximate match and then exact match. So as I said before, by default you are usually set at true, or we are going to leave it at false. So write false here, write false. You may have scenarios where you have to use approximate match, but in most cases they are rare. All right, so to avoid getting unwanted result, please use a false and then hit enter. So you notice we have here at the lookup value of 10250, we have our value to be 7.7. Now we can see that the value here is not even in currency. We can further customize or format this cell by going to here, then maybe adding decimal places, and also you can change this to currency. I think that should be in dollars, right? Change it to currency. All right, now looking at this, we can see that this is a manual way of doing that, because for every time we want to move this order ID, we have to click our cell and then make changes to it. Right, so up next we are going to be working with another data set. So this is a data set that we are going to be working with. All right, so I've already carried out some Hlookup here, so I'm going to clear this, and then so we can start to work on this data set using the Hlookup here. So we have the total products here. Let's say we want to use all these products here as our lookup values. All right, the bag, shoes, this and this. Remember the previous one, we could only select one, but here we want to create a list of all the total products here, such that whenever you change your list, remember we looked at this and that was in data validation, where we can make list of items from our Excel file. Now we are going to create a list from these total products, and then we find the value here to put here as price. So first and foremost, click on this cell and then go to data, then look at data validation. Click there, click on data validation. Now select list, then in the source, make sure you select the values here, right? Make sure those values are selected here. They are the first row, and then enter. So click OK. Now if you come here, you see the drop down menu here where you can select items in our list. So for the price, we apply the Hlookup equals to Hlookup. Okay, Hlookup. Then what is going to be the lookup value? The lookup value will be the cell that we are looking at here. All right, remember that lookup value is always the first row, but we've already move the first row to this particular cell. So whatever we are having here is already in the first row. This is relative to what we have here. Any changes that you make here is going to affect here. So we are in line with what we are doing. We didn't make any mistake. So click here. But what I'm saying is that you cannot actually go here to use products code as your lookup value. Excel, you always start from the first row of your table, because obviously you are going to be selecting your table array. Right, so with a comma here, select your table array, everything here. Then with comma, what is your row index? So we are looking at the price, and as I said before, that the Excel understands one, like the index starts from 1, not 0. So we start from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is going to be the row index number, and then for here we just type false, close your brackets, so hit enter. So anytime you come here to make changes to this list, like shoes, we have 25. So currently this cell is not formatted. Go to home, and then we add let's say some decimal places to this, 1 decimal place, and then we can always change this to currency. It's in naira, but we can click on here under the currency. We can change this to, let's say, dollar, English, let's say English United States. All right, so we have our value. Now moving this to jewelries, we have $15 here. Okay, moving this to makeup kits, we have $10 here. So this is basically it, how to use the Hlookup values. Now in our next class, we'll be looking at the VLOOKUP in Microsoft Excel. So thank you so much, and I expect to see you in the next class.